Mhm. Okay, good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order. This is City Council, Monday, May 8th of 2023. I'd like to welcome our new council members. And if we could get a roll call, please.
Mayor McGrath,
Here.
Tracy Snyder,
Here.
Jennifer Mazias,
Here.
Tom Nimas,
Here.
Dave Anderson,
Here.
John Hopkins,
Here.
Jared Trumbo,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. And if I could ask everyone who hasn't done it already to pull the microphone closer so that you can speak more directly into the microphone, that would be great. You can keep pulling that even further there, John. Thank you. Excellent. Our next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next item is approval of minutes from the city council meeting on April 10th and the 18th, as well as the historic preservation minutes from April 10th.
I'll make the motion to accept those.
Second. Motion by Tom, second by Mary. Any questions, comments, or discussion? Or edits? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Our next item is approval of the monthly expenditures via roll call vote. Would anyone like to make a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Tom to approve the monthly expenditures. Tony, roll call vote, please.
Jared Trumbo,
Yes.
John Hopkins,
Yes.
Dave Anderson,
Yes.
Tom Nimas,
Yes.
Jen Mazias,
Yes.
Tracy Snyder,
Yes.
Mayor McGrath,
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes, and our next item is public comment. Is anyone here tonight to give public comment? And if you could please sign in and then state your name and address, please.
My name is Bill Bailey. I'll get closer to the mic here in a minute. Well, my name is Bill Bailey. I'm a resident of the town of Bayview, and I'm here representing Check Bay Renewables, but I'm also speaking on behalf of Bayfield County, who is applying for a grant, U.S. Department of Transportation for electric vehicle charging infrastructure throughout the entire county. They've identified 11 sites. They just kind of picked various towns distributed throughout the county, like Fort Wayne, Herbster, Cornucopia, Redcliffe, Bayfield, Washburn, Grandview, Drummond, etc., Cable. And so Washburn is one of the towns that they would like to put EV charging station in. The grant application has a minimum requirement of 4 charging stations per site. So this is a fairly large project. This is the U.S. government site, our grant application. We're probably looking at about a $2 to $3 million grant application. The grant would pay for 80% of all costs. We've been working with Xcel Energy very closely. All the sites happen to be in Xcel's territory. I've driven all the sites with Xcel. In Washburn specifically, the site that seems to make the most sense to us is Hanson's. The requirements for a site is that they have to have 3-phase 480 volt power, and the substation is right across the street from Hanson's. And it also has to have adequate parking for 4 parking spaces, because that's the minimum requirement. So that's restrictive in a lot of places, but in the case of Hanson's, it's in the middle of the town. It's next to the power. They've got plenty of parking. Because it's a U.S. highway safety is important. It's off the road, so people are used to going in and out of the grocery store. So we think we fulfill those type of requirements. Anyway, the grant could be public land, could be private land, could be anything. I've talked to the owners; they're on board with it, but we need public input, and that's why I'm here. To inform the city what the grant application, the intentions are at this point. It's not due till May 30th. I know it's not on your agenda. It's nothing that you can discuss tonight, but the mayor has my email address. Scott has my email address. If there's any public input from the general public, from any of the council members, please email me, or Mark Gales Allison, the county administrator. He's very involved with this. The two of us are basically writing the grant. If the city would like to give us a letter of support, that the Hanson seems like a location that makes sense to them, that sort of letter of support, that would be very good for the grant application for scoring. So I encourage the city to do that if they're so inclined. If you want more information, specifics about the grant, you could put it on the agenda for your next month, even though it's after the grant application deadline. This construction would not happen until next year, the summer of 2024. So there'll be plenty of time for further discussion. This is not a done deal. This is just the process that we're going through. So with that, thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill. Appreciate the work.
Sure.
And technically, we're not supposed to interact with public comment, but can we ask a question? Is that fine?
You can ask questions, you can't take action.
Sure. Okay, go ahead, Tom.
My question is this: I know it's okay with Hanson's. Is it okay with the group that owns that land down out of Kansas City? Because Hanson's leases that store in that property.
I don't know the answer to that question.
One more question, as long as we can ask questions. Do you know if we can submit a letter of support after the grant has been submitted? So if we were to pass something at the next council meeting?
I would say that probably not for this particular grant application, but they might ask for questions. But this is a federal grant. The odds of getting funded, what, 50-50? Who knows? We're competing against the entire country.
Sure.
So whatever you do, you'll have something done for the next round of funding or the next opportunity that comes up. So
Thanks.
I would just carry on the conversation.
Sounds good.
And
Appreciate
thanks,
it.
Tom, for your information. I will check into that. I'm gonna leave unless somebody. Okay. You got my email address. Please respond.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else here for public comment tonight? Anyone online? Look like they're raising their hand. No. All right, then we'll go ahead and move on. Next item is mayoral announcements, proclamations, and appointments. I'll start off with just a few announcements. We had a nice ribbon cutting the chamber did today at the Wood Bin, a new business in town, right where Adventure House used to be, next to Patsy's there. Really amazing woodwork items there. And it's not just Adam whose business it is, who got approval from the Plan Commission recently, but it's also others in the area who do woodworking, that he's carrying their items there as well. And including a gentleman from Duluth who was there today. Really everything from cutting boards to custom-made tables and desks. Really amazing, so I would encourage everyone to check that out. Second item is that the county project, some of you know already, we did not get the WIDA credits for that housing project, which is extremely disappointing. I think, going to be riding around tomorrow with some of the WIDA officials, talking about the tremendous need for housing in our community. So if you have specific stories that you would like to share with me, please do so tonight via phone or email or just after the meeting quickly. If there are really good examples of things that have happened because of our lack of housing, that would be helpful. Third, we are in need of some seasonal positions in Public Works. As you can see by looking around, they have been hard at work, but we are down. We don't have our summer help because we haven't had applicants for that. So please spread the word if you know anyone who would like a summer position. Number 4, we had a very nice historic preservation event at the courthouse on Saturday, where I read that proclamation. I don't believe I'll be reading all the proclamations tonight because that would really take a long time. But I would encourage you to please take a minute to do so. I believe Tony is going to, or maybe has already uploaded them to the website under the mayor's page, and they're in the packet tonight as well. So if anyone heard that loud boom, that was the cannon from the historic preservation event. There was a candy cannon, which blew candy into the air, and then there was a regular cannon that was really loud. And Karen had gone around and talked to the neighbors and left flyers, but I think the whole city could probably hear that. So she had talked to the sheriff and the police department ahead of time, so if they got calls, they would know that it's nothing urgent. So that was exciting, a little reenactment. And then last, just wanted to announce, I saw that there's the Rescue Divas camp this summer for, I believe it's girls in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade currently can apply for this camp, and the date to apply by is May 26th. And it sounds like a really awesome opportunity, not only to learn things, but also to experience some cool field trips and things, and try to encourage young women to get interested in and involved in emergency services. So spread the word. That's all I have for announcements. The proclamations that we have for this month. We don't have a Week of the Young Child this month because they actually changed what they did at school this year, and it was earlier and we didn't talk in time, and so I don't have a Week of the Young Child proclamation this year. But we're readjusting the schedule for next year. We do have a National Skilled Nursing Care Week proclamation, which is May 14th to the 20th. There is National Police Week, May 14th through the 20th also. EMS Week is May 21st through the 27th. Historic Preservation Month is the whole month. And Arbor Day, our anniversary celebration, will be Tuesday, May 16th. And it's the 151st anniversary of Arbor Day. And this year, we're doing plantings with our Parks Committee. Thank you to our Parks Committee for at Memorial Park, where we need to replant. Well, probably more than one tree, but are we only planting one tree?
Tony, are we only planting one tree?
Yes.
Okay. So again, I would encourage you to read all the details of those proclamations. Just wanted to mention them and hope everyone takes a minute to read them and think about all the important work that all those organizations are doing for our community. And we don't have the appointment on here right now. We'll have to do that in June for Room Tax Commission. So with that, we will move on to our next item, which is the election of council president and election of plan commission member. So we'll start with the president. I would look for a motion for that.
I will nominate Jen Mazias.
Okay, we have a motion by Dave to nominate Jen.
Second.
And I don't believe I need a second.
Oh.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close nominations and submit a unanimous vote for Jen.
So moved.
And that, I do need a second for it. Okay. So I have a motion by Mary, I heard Dave first, to appoint Jen, or to elect Jen as the council president. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Jen.
Big shoes to fill, behind
Yes,
Karen.
absolutely.
I have to work on my elegant motions.
You're gonna do great. Then, I'm looking for a motion to, appoint a plan commission member from the council.
I'll make a motion to appoint Dave as that member.
Okay,
I'll second
and for this, it's an appointment, so we do need a second?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes.
So motion by Tom, second by Tracy. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dave, for continuing that job. Moving on to our next item, which is discussion and action on resolution 23-010, ratifying the mayor's proclamation of April 20th, 2023, declaring a disaster in the city of Washburn due to high water and flooding. That is tab 2 of your packet.
I'll make a motion to ratify resolution 23-10. Second.
Okay, motion by Tom, second by Jared. Any questions? Scott?
I just want to point out that we also have had damage to Fur Farm Road. And so we were looking at doing work at both Fur Farm and at the Bigelow Street culvert. We have two potential sources of funding to reimburse 70 or 75% of the costs of that. And if you approve this, we'll begin that work tomorrow, because those roads do need to be repaired.
So we don't need to change the language. It's included in the and other locations part of this. We don't have to name specifically what locations. Okay, very good. Okay, with that, any other questions, comments, or discussion?
The only comment I have, and I know Jerry's in the audience, is like, it's hard to spend money when we're trying to repair something, to think about the future. So it's gonna keep happening, and I'm assuming, I'm always bringing up stormwater, climate change. I'm assuming when we're gonna make those repairs, whenever we're thinking about how the long term.
Upgrading.
upgrading. And I know that's more expensive, and I know that's hard, but I just want to keep reminding us that we're already in there. We know things are happening. We know those are pinch points. And Jerry's like, yep.
Thank you for bringing that up. Good point. All right, with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our next item is discussion and action on draft certified survey map for a portion of lot 52 at South 8th Avenue West and Holman Lakeview Drive, which is tab 3 of your packet. I believe Megan is here. Thanks for coming, and thanks for putting up with this project. Let's see. So the zoning can remain. And we are looking for,
A motion?
yes, on this draft certified survey map
I'll make that motion.
Second.
to approve as presented.
As presented.
Okay, Tom, and motion by Tom, second by Jen. Any questions on this? I think I'm happy we're able to come to a solution here with everyone in mind. And again, thank you for putting up with the project, and hopefully you'll end up with a little bit more land, so you're within the property lines and all as well.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we'll move on to the next step next time. Okay. All right, our next item is discussion and action on resolution 2023-009, terminating TID number 2, and that is tab number 4.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Tom. Any questions on this? Sounds like we have no choice.
Now that I do that,
Sure.
the money from this that we already allocated, that's gonna be held so that if they do get their grants next year,
So we have assigned that to that project if it were to have gotten funded. In the meanwhile, it is set aside for an affordable housing project. We can choose to reallocate that to a different project if something else comes up in the meanwhile, as long as it's an affordable housing project, is my understanding.
And within a different J. Right? Is that?
It does not need to be within a specific district.
Or we can hang on to it, and if they choose to reapply next year and are awarded the project, then it would still be there for that.
Okay.
So we have options. So we have a motion by Mary and a second by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, discussion and action. Oh,
Wait, Mary. Yep. It just says on the resolution. here,
oh,
it does say
roll call. You're right. Thank you very much for pointing that out. So with that, Tony, if you wouldn't mind doing a roll call vote.
Mayor McGrath,
Yeah, yes.
Tracy Snyder,
Yes.
Jen Mazias,
Yes.
Tom Nymes,
yes.
Dave Anderson,
Yes.
John Hopkins,
Yes.
Jared Trimble,
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Now we can move on to our next item. Good catch. Discussion and action on acceptance of bid for road gravel, which is tab 5 of your packet.
So moved.
I'll second that one.
Motion by Mary, second by Tom, to accept the bid, the lowest bid for the road gravel. Any questions?
Super close.
Super
Funny how
close.
Usually it's not like that, but it's all over the board,
It
so
was
it's really
close.
funny.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'm sorry.
Okay, next item, discussion and action on ordinance 2023-003, establishing the process for the issuance of provisional alcohol licenses. This is tab 6 of your packet.
Motion to accept ordinance 23-003.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Jared. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
I would like to point out, there was a error in the ordinance, a word that needed to be removed. Second paragraph, or second line of the J provision retail license, it says provisional retail license by the clerk's office and lists the different licenses that can be issued. The very first one listed says provisional Class A fermented malt beverage. It should just be Class A fermented malt beverages.
Delete the word provisional from that.
Correct.
Okay.
And in this case, if you understood the memo, the state gives municipalities the authority to issue provisional alcohol licenses in the case where there's one that's applied for, but there's a time frame to actually receive the license. However, the municipality needs to have an ordinance stated as such. So we have the ability to do it. We couldn't do it because we didn't have the ordinance in place.
Giving us the ability to actually do it.
And this is concurrent with the next tab, which we'll talk about next.
Okay. I think that answers my question.
Okay.
I had that question as well, and I forgot to ask it today, so I'm glad we went there.
Because now, okay, I'm just gonna hold, we talk about the next thing, we go
I
from
mean,
there.
so like when Patsy's went through it to change it to Robbie, I mean, that was done in place so that they did all of the paperwork and the publications and all of that before they actually closed. So by the time their closing occurred,
It was done.
we could just issue a license right away. In the next case with the firehouse, it's just because of the time frame of the application to sale, it didn't work out.
So the law allows us to do a provisional license, but we didn't have the ordinance actually giving us the ability to do it.
That's correct. And
I
then,
will say that the statute actually says that the city shall issue
yes,
provisional
Oh,
licenses, but
But-
we just didn't have a way to do it.
yes.
But it's required to have an ordinance to actually be able to do it.
It's required to have an ordinance to have city staff do it. Otherwise, it has to come to city council. to do it.
It needs to identify
Yeah,
who.
who does it, yes.
Aha.
So even if it didn't say city staff,
Yeah.
it would still need an ordinance to say
Yeah.
city council.
my other question, and so the shale thing is interesting, because as we know, we have limited alcohol, these permits, right? And we have other establishments that actually want this.
Yes.
Yeah, is that gonna be?
So I asked about that, and our tradition is that if there is a viable business coming in that wants the alcohol license for that property, we have always given it to that purchaser.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I don't want to do that, I'm just
Sure.
saying, like, I just wonder where we stand in
Absolutely.
having like the authority, because, say, and I'm not saying anything bad about any other business, like, just say like Stage North, like they're holding, a liquor license, and they're not as open as much, well, they are now, some are a little bit, versus an establishment that's full-time, viable, on a waiting list. And so I wanted to know what our authority was to shift these around if we felt it was in the best interest of the city. And I'm not saying I want to do this with the firehouse or that Stage North doesn't deserve theirs. I just want to give an
Right.
example of
Yeah.
what our authority is. And it sounds like we don't have that authority.
The city has the authority to issue, no. Well,
No, that's not true. You're gonna say.
the city has the authority to issue who they want to with the alcohol licenses, with our hard liquor licenses. In cases where a business is being sold to a new proprietor that was continue with that business, it is encouraged by the State Department of Revenue and the Tavern League that we continue the license with the new business, because they're buying a business as such. But the city council could issue or rescind a license if they want to.
So when
If
you,
they rescind a
I just want
license,
to know. I
there
just
is a
like to know.
procedure according to the state statutes that will need to be followed.
so you just said if the new owner is continuing that business, does that mean continuing that same business, or continuing that type of business, or continuing a business that would require a license for that business? Yeah, okay.
I'm fine, I just want to.
Yep.
I just know that it's kind of, it's definitely, I get asked a lot about, you know, a certain business that's wanted an alcohol, like liquor license, and we weren't able to issue one because we only have so many. So it's nice to know where our authority is, that's all.
And if the city will rescind a license, they need just cause.
Yep.
So you can't just do it.
But that just cause, there is a mandate of how many consecutive days a business has to be open.
We do have that in our ordinance, yes.
Okay, I'm fine. I just never thought I'd care so much about liquor licenses, I just like to know about them, and
There's a
I
whole,
get questioned,
sure.
believe it or not.
Yeah, no, it's good to understand all of the fine details of processes and what we traditionally do and how that works and how it could work.
Right, unless you're on council, you don't typically understand that. We have very limited liquor license, so we can get beer and wine licenses to.
As long as they meet the state statutes, just so.
As long,
Right.
correct.
And the days open and the consecutive days open.
Correct. Okay, I'm done. Thank you for
Okay.
entertaining me.
So we have a motion by Mary and a second by Jared on this. Are there any other questions, comments, or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mary, just before the next one, would you like me to go into the audience to make sure? There's no requirement, but I very well can.
Sure, let's just do that to keep it completely clean. So Max is stepping away and not acting as our counsel for this next item. Which is discussion and action on authorization of notice for Class B beer and Class B liquor licenses to Schwamigan Bait at 10 West Bayfield Street. Kelsey Lindsay, agent. Is Kelsey online by any chance?
Kelsey's not, she's home with our kids, but I can answer any questions.
Okay, thank you.
If anyone has them.
Appreciate that. Okay, so this is tab 7 of your packet. And we have the Lindsays purchasing the firehouse from the current owner, Harlan Gusky. Has that property closed?
It has.
Okay, congratulations. Happy to see that that has been purchased and a new business will be on the premise. Is there a motion on this item?
Second.
Motion by Dave to approve, second by Tom. Questions, comments, discussion?
There is one change on their alcohol licensing. The very first page, the trade name is listed as Schwamigan Bait LLC. I have received a written letter from Kelsey. They would like to retain it at this time to still be Firehouse Bar.
Oh,
So when it gets issued, they will still, they'll be issued to Firehouse Bar as a trade name.
And
okay.
if there is any, I can provide a comment on that, if people are
Sure.
wondering.
Thanks.
Okay,
Please-
so-
Please do.
Yes, as far as timeline goes on this, the intention is to reopen and continue the Firehouse Bar. It should be opening within approximately 2 weeks. Long-term goal would be to change the business structure, but that takes some time. So at least for the summer, likely approximately a year-ish, it'll continue to operate as a Firehouse Bar.
Excellent.
I was trying to figure out if it was gonna be like a bait shop and.
Long-term goal will involve some of that, but that's still a long-term goal. So right now it's, yes, continuing as a firehouse.
I just have a question. So you're continuing a liquor license, and then you're gonna change the nature of your business? Will that just go to wine and beer then, or? And so you won't need the liquor license?
That's what it's looking like, yes. No final decisions, or we haven't made a final decision on that yet. It'll likely be at least another year off until that.
So I was wondering if there are other businesses that would want that.
Yes, there are.
So that would be, so how do they, this is just a clarification question then, so how do they know then when that opens up? Does the city contact that business and say, oh, you can apply now because it's available? I mean, how does that work? I'm just curious.
Good question.
And I can also, not from a legal standpoint, but from
A procedural.
and no, just from this business, we personally, Kelsey, not me, Kelsey has been in contact with other businesses in town who have desired a liquor license. And she has been upfront with them about our timeline and our business plans. And I'm sure she will continue to make them aware of these business plans.
So at whatever time that were to become available, would any change in licensing have to occur at the next round of licensing, or can things happen and change in between?
It could be anytime. We could, in the way that would work, foresee it happening as just a
I would need,
relinquishment of a license,
Sure.
and then others around town would be able to apply.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Very good.
So there's an equitable application process. I guess that's what I was concerned about.
So until a couple of years ago, it really hasn't been an
An
issue
issue.
because we didn't have the demand or requests for such licenses. But now we do, so it is really a new thing for us to address.
Okay, any other questions?
Congratulations.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
and if I can just follow up real quickly, so I'll send this notice to the paper, and that's the first round, so they need to notify the paper. This will come back to council next month for approval of the license. Once the ordinance is published, then we can issue a provisional license to the business, and they can operate for 60 days on a provisional license only. This license, the regular license, will then take effect July 1st, so we'll be in that next licensing year. Because the provisional 60 days will occur during this whole time. So the time is working out well, that they don't have to do a original license and a renewal at the same time.
Okay,
You can let them know we have alternate counsel if needed.
yes, for any of the alcohol licensing questions, we do have alternate counsel as Max is recusing himself on those issues, so as not to have a conflict of interest. Okay, then moving on to our next item, which is discussion and action on notice of annual alcohol license renewals, which is tab 8 of your packet.
Motion to move forward with the renewal list as given.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Jen.
And just to clarify there, that would be less, minus the firehouse one.
I was just gonna ask that.
Correct.
Okay, so as presented, minus the firehouse, since the property was closed on prior to, so as outlined in the memo, basically. Okay, any questions on that? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Excellent, okay. Our next item is discussion and action on special event request for Superior Vistas Bike Tour on June 24th, 2023, including relaxation of open container and noise ordinances and sale of beer at Thompson's West End Park. Washburn Chamber petitioner.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Jared. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Can I add one more thing? here?
Yeah, please, go ahead.
So typically, and in the past, if a nonprofit group or a organized group of the chamber was to sell alcohol, they would need a temporary alcohol license. In this specific case, the chamber has asked South Shore Brewery to sell, because the brewery also already has a license issued by the state. Bo can go to other locations to sell. He just needs authorization from the Department of Revenue. In this case, being city property, the Department of Revenue will want to know that it's city council's authorized them to sell at the park. So the chamber doesn't need a temporary license, but that process still needed to occur so that Bo could go down there and sell.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that clarifying detail. Okay, our next item, discussion and action on special event request for closure of Central Avenue on July 29th, 2023. Historic Civic Center Foundation petitioner.
So moved.
Motion by Mary, second by Tom. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That was a fun little event last year, so I would encourage everyone to stop by during that weekend. Okay, at this time, I would ask anyone who is not involved in the closed session to.
I believe that there was a request as a motion to go into closed session prior to actually going into closed session.
Sure.
You would need to have a motion approved first.
Oh, before I can ask people to leave? Okay, so you don't have to leave yet. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Tom. All in favor? Oh,
Aye.
roll call vote, sorry.
Jared Trimble?
Yes.
John Hopkins?
Yes.
Dave Anderson? No. Tom Nymus?
Yes.
Jen Mazias?
Yes.
Tracy Schneider?
No.
Mayor McGrath?
Yes.
Majority 5-2.
Okay, motion carries. We are now in closed session.